Good afternoon. I just spent about an hour in the shop here making a nice video with nice close-ups and everything on my Sony HDR SR12. Great camcorder, but it's got that mongrel MTS format. I'm going to uninstall, I'm just about ready to uninstall Sony Movie Studio 13. Piece of crap. I got halfway through the video. Story of my life. And, I'm adding clips to the end of the timeline. So I got to, like I say, over halfway through. And I'm adding another clip, just open and add it. And it drops it. You know where it goes? It goes at the beginning. So I tried to take and move it over to the end, and the whole thing just shifted over and just screwed up. The heck with it. So unless I can get an easy to use and not handbrake, because that's not easy to use, MTS file converter. And I'm looking on the computer now, and you take a chance because there's a lot of things that have viruses in them and adware and junk like that. So I got to make this video over, and yes, I'm using HD, but the only HD I will ever use from now on is going to be MP4. That's what this camera puts out here, the Sony PlayTouch. So I can't get as close, and things aren't going to be in focus when I'm showing you things. And I wanted to show you on this amplifier. The beginning of this video has a title shot made in good old Windows Movie Maker. A close-up of an MOV, which are part of the stuff that I got from the Jewett City Flea Market in that big container, which I emptied out. And I made all this video, and I'm making it all over again on good old reliable MP4 format and good old reliable Windows Movie Maker. So there's an oddball number on this MOV or whatever it is. When I put it on my meter, it doesn't read like an MOV. It reads nothing, no resistance at all. MOV is a metal oxide varistor. So it doesn't read anything on the old meter. So even though it looks like an MOV, and I have some nice close-ups, I can't do that with this camera, so we're going to have to do without that part of it. I love that Sony camera. It's just got oddball damn photo format, video format. I got a box of stuff here for Jim Asbell. He didn't ask for all this stuff, but he wanted the orange, and I'm glad to send it to him. He wanted these orange connector things here. I don't know what they are. He specified interest in those, but he's going to get a little bit more than that. He's going to get a bunch of these MOVs and a bunch of 1,000 ohm and 20,000 ohm resistors. Those big bags that I had. Here, this is my stash here. This is 20,000 ohm resistor. No, not 20,000. My mind is 2,200 ohm. I have to write them down or I got a mind like a sieve. Okay, and then extras. So in the future, if anybody wants any, I got more than enough. I can send you some, but I can't this week. I just don't have any extra cash to mail anything out, as I left myself extremely short in Jewett City Flea Market. And there's a bunch of these. I was told these are fuse holders. They are odd-looking fuse holders if they are. I sent a few to you, Jim. I know you don't need all these. And anybody else wants them in the future, in the next few weeks, I'll be more than happy to mail them at no charge, as long as it's in the 48 states. I will not mail out of the United States. And I have no problem sending stuff out. People have done me a lot of favors. It's just that right now I can't mail anything out. So Jim, you're getting stuff, but it's going to go out next week. And I've sent you whatever's in this box. You've only got a small percentage of each item. Other than you get a lot of these small connectors and stuff, which I have no use for. You've got a bunch of ICs, which I have no use for. They're too small. I can't work with that stuff. And you're going to have a lot of good things here, including a bunch of these. All right. So, and you're getting them, Jim. Over here, behind the camera, is all the potentiometers. Those I'll hang on to because you never have enough potentiometers when you want to work on something. And these are 220 microfarad. I believe it's 35 volts. I enclosed a bunch of these too. And there's enough here if anybody else wants any in the next few weeks. So there's a lot there. I don't need all that stuff. I'll never use it. I'll never live long enough to use it. So anyways, I emptied out everything. It's pretty much everything, you know. And there's a lot of stuff I can't use. And there were 10,000 ohm resistors, half watt, I believe, or quarter watt. Trying to remember. I enclosed those for you, Jim. I got a bunch of them, and I put some in my drawers. 1,000 ohm resistors, I believe they're quarter watt or half watt. And 2,200 ohm resistors, 1 watt. These are metal film resistors according to the package. Alright. On this, and I had some nice close-ups, which I'm going to try to get with this camera, that I got with the SR12. That does a great job, but I got to do something. I cannot work with these complicated, aggravating, terrible video editing programs. They just don't work for me. You know, the Sony program did work. It screws up on the titles. When you put a title in first, it disappears and goes to the end sometimes. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just putting them in, you know. But when I got the video stream with about 10 video clips all in a row, and then when I just add the next one, it's supposed to go to the end. Instead, it went to the beginning. So I tried to click on it and move it over, and it took the whole timeline and screwed it off to the right. And I couldn't do nothing with it, so I just closed it down. So I'm staying with Windows Movie Maker, so I need a converting program. Simple. And please do not say Handbrake. I cannot use it. It's complicated. I have had it before in years past, and I cannot do it. If you got a bunch of videos, it'll do one conversion, and that's it. No matter how many others you got in there, it'll only do the first one. And I don't need any explanations about how to solve that problem. I don't want anything to do with Handbrake. So I'm going to just hunt around, and I'm going to have to take a chance and download them. If they're a safe site that's safe to download from, like when you go to Google and you type in, it's got the Norton, it's got the green, it's saying safe. I'll download it and take a chance. And if it's complicated, I'll just take it out of the computer. But it can't be a shareware. In other words, it can't be a trial. It's got to be a free software. It can't be a trial because, that's what happens with some other stuff I've had. So I'm giving up on any video editing program. I'm staying with Windows Movie Maker. That's it. That is one of the biggest reasons, not the only reason, why I will never, never, never go to Windows 10. I don't care if I have to take Windows 7 off the line if it's not secure, and use Windows 7 to do my video editing. I'll do it. Because Windows 10 will not support Windows Movie Maker. So the only way you can use Windows Movie Maker is in Windows 7 and below, I guess. So I'm staying with that. It's so much faster. It's so much simpler to use. It very rarely crashes, although I tried doing the MTS file in there, and you click on the preview button and nothing happens, and the hard drive is busy, you can hear it, but nothing's showing on the screen as hourglass or anything. So I couldn't even edit a 20-second MTS video in it. It does fine on HD 720p. It's a little slow, but it works. If you let it all go in and wait until it's done, okay. Whereas Sony, you can drop the files in and it's got a little bar graph that goes in quick. But it screws up. And I don't need these programs to screw up. And that's not what this video is supposed to be about. I was supposed to give you an update on this. So that's what the title of this video is, because I made the title in good old Windows Movie Maker. Okay, like I say, I'm doing this video over again, and until I can find a reliable, simple, free video converter, that the video MTS file format that'll convert my MTS to MP4, which is a good standard and reliable, I'm going to continue using the Kodak PlayTouch, which I'm using now when I do HD or WVGA, of course, or the Kodak ZE-1. So I had some nice close-ups on these rectifiers. Anything I hate to do is have to do a video over again, because I had it done so nice until SONY Movie Studio 13 screwed up. So let me get you a close-up of this. It's not going to be nice and clear, but we'll do the best I can for what equipment I have to work with. Alright, these are the original rectifiers. They are not bridge. I found that out. They are not bridge. There's one here and one here, and I hope you can read that. See the number right there? Okay. So if anybody wants to research that number, I understand you can't get these parts anymore, but these diodes are okay. Take my word for it, I tested them out. I had some people say on the last video I made of this, even though I said I tested the diodes, even though I had other people that said, test and see if you get an AC out of this, I already said that on the video, but maybe some people just don't play it all the way through. That's my feeling. Or probably watching television or on a whatever, you know, texting something or not paying attention. Whatever the case is, I don't know. But I'm getting AC voltage on these lines, these diodes, which are not bridge. I found that out. They are just two diodes in parallel in each one. And using double the AC coming in. And these leads here are, these two are just tied together just for heavy, because of the heavy current. The wiring is doubled up. Same with this side. So between here and here, I think it's like 34 volts or something like that. And this is the common. So the diodes check good using my diode test. These are the filter board capacitors. You have your positive going all the way down here and your negative over here. I'm getting, as I recall, I'm trying to go from memory, I had all this in the top of my head when I made the video on Sony, and actually I'm doing it over again, as I said. 30, no, 23.3 volts, I think. Again, I'm trying to go from memory, but I'm getting 23. In other words, it's under 25 volts right here and over here. And these capacitors are rated at 25 volts. So I am getting my voltage here, and they're coming right off these rectifiers here. So these rectifiers are good. They not only test good with my digital meter on diode test, I am getting the DC out, and it's right here and right here. Okay? So it's understood that these rectifiers are good. They do not have to be replaced. I'm getting the DC out. What else can I say? And I tested it all the way when I had these unplugged. And both diodes in each one of them test good. Now, in order to get this board out, you see the heat sink here? This whole heat sink here looks like it's one piece, but it's part of the chassis too. In other words, it's fastened to the chassis. So I would have to take out these transistors all the way down the line in order to remove these boards, because they're held on with the mounting screws of the transistors, and there's no way I'm going to do that. However, this here has got heavy hardware holding this in because you need it for high current. This would be a big job for me to take out too. But if the trouble is in here, well, I don't really know how to test it, other than testing individual components. And I really, offhand, I don't know where the voltage that's coming from this goes in here. I really don't know, because these wires aren't heavy enough. This is, I think this is a feedback wire here or something that goes up into here. I don't know if this is a voltage regulator or not. Now, this has got me puzzled. Why? Because this is supposed to be, from what I understand, I think this is an SCR, and, off camera again, it's a crowbar circuit. A crowbar circuit means you literally throw a crowbar, it's a saying, across the output and short it out, in case the voltage goes too high. In other words, it's supposed to be 13.8 volts coming out. If it goes over that, I guess this little guy sacrificed itself, because there's no way this little SCR is going to pass 60 amps of current, maybe only once, and then that's the end of its life. It's too small. Now, this power supply is 60 amps, not continuous. It's supposed to be at 40-some amps continuous. You would need an SCR this big in order to pass and be able to be reused again. This is too small. So maybe I don't understand how a crowbar circuit works. I've looked it up on, watched videos on it, and, you know, they're telling you how an SCR works, and I got all lost when they were saying that, with all the curves and stuff on it. You know, I just get lost with that stuff. Solid state is, you know, what little I read on it, I never could understand fully how it works. You know, I understand just enough to know what an emitter, base, and collector is. I never got into op amps. They were way too confusing. I watched videos on it, and it's like, I didn't learn anything. To each his own. I'm from the old school, and you can't change me at this age now. Too old to learn new tricks. So, the question is, if this is a crowbar circuit, how does it work if the voltage goes up too high? How does it protect the equipment that's connected to your power supply? Like if I have a sensitive 2-meter rig hooked to this circuit is supposed to clamp it if it goes up too high. All right, that's well and good. Maybe this thing is shorted. You know, it might be shorted out. It's not running hot. It's not causing these diodes to run hot. I'm still getting my voltages here. But if this is shorted, because it's probably only going to be good for one time and that's it, because it's, like I say, too damn small, that might be good enough for maybe 20 amps. And then I'd find that hard to believe too. But that could be, that could handle probably 20 amps. But I don't think it'll handle no 60 amps clamping. So if this is the circuit, the way I understand it, a crowbar circuit is a sacrificing circuit. In other words, it'll crowbar one time and that's the end of it. I'm sure I'll probably get some expert advice in texts that are a mile too long for me to read. Hello, John. I can probably take this board out, but what would I look for in here? You know, it's too hard for me to see that small stuff, and I'll end up screwing up the board. I avoid doing printed circuit work. This size board, if I can get at it, I can work with it. You know, I'm not so blind I can't work with something that's spaced out like this. The problem is getting this board off. I can't do that. If I get this off, I might be able to work back here if there was any bad caps. But I'm not going to be able to get these capacitors out. They're just not going to do that. They're bolted. The same bolts that hold the capacitor in hold this board in, and it's all the way down. See the nuts and bolts on there? So the collectors are all connected down here. Whether they're actually electrically connected or through a micro washer, that I don't know. I didn't put a meter on it to find out. But I can get at the back of these boards, but I can't replace these transistors. It would be a humongous job. I just can't do that kind of work. And to get my hand in there, well, yes, I can unplug this, all the wires out of here, and get in there. All right, there are 3 transistors. One is behind the rectifier, right there. And the other 2 are down here. And I did mention the numbers on them. I'll have to look at the schematic. I can't remember what it is, 3771 or some such number like that. All these electrolytics do look good. But I won't be, you see how that is? You see that black metal going right down and all the transistors sitting on it? Well, they're sitting on this heatsink. This is all one piece here. Look at this union right here. You see that? I can't point to it because I'm holding a light. Right in the center of the screen. That's all part of the heatsink. So that's all one piece. This is all one piece. And then is the chassis. You can see the gray here. This is all one heatsink. And it's somehow fastened to, I guess, what screws down here. I really don't know. I haven't seen any videos on anyone removing these boards. I'm still looking on YouTube, but it don't look too promising. Thanks to some of the viewers telling me about Lowe's has these rocker switches. I haven't been down there yet to get one. But why buy one if this isn't going to work and it's going to be a 40-pound paperweight, you know? All right, enough on this. I just want to go over one other thing and mention again that I am getting the voltage out of these diodes. They are rectifying. I'm getting my DC voltage out. The voltages are on these two boards, but nothing on the output. So I have no idea where the problem is. With my luck, it's probably, these transistors here are probably shot. I might be able to get down there with an old meter and check and see if there's any shorts between emitter, base, and collector. That's about it, but you got to remember they're in circuit, so I may not get an accurate reading. And it wouldn't be impossible to take this out. It would really be a pain, but I could get it out, I guess. And if it was in this board, it might be able to be fixed. If not, I would have to send it out to somebody and have them fix it for me. Story of my life. Pretty good, and can't even fix my own stuff. But that would be the extent of it, you know. And then, you know, I can check ESR on these caps, but, you know, go from there. But as far as the transistors, I'm not going to be able to. As I said, they're all mounted to, this is all part of the heatsink. These two ears coming out and these bars going straight down, that's all part of this heatsink. Alright, I can do a pretty good job of close-ups on this. I did this with the Sony SR12, but of course, as I said, we can't use those videos. I did watch the video on Radio Shop Buddy when he made it. I don't know, is that video jumping? Seemed to be a little quivery there. Looking in the viewfinder, it looks quivery. Now why? See these two RM1 and RM2? Those are the rectifiers. You notice there's two positives coming out on the bottom of each one, and the AC is going in on the top. Well, that is the way they are. There's like a double diode in each one, and if you follow the left-hand one, the RM1, you've got two wires. I had to take my magnifier away, so I may be offline here a little bit, off the mark. Goes down here and goes to the first filter capacitors right there. And from what I can see, the second one, RM2, comes off with two positives. They're simply parallel together. They're not a bridge rectifier, as I found out. And they come down to the second set of capacitors on the filter board. So, as far as I can tell, both of these, RM1 and RM2, are going, essentially, they're all in parallel. The problem I have with this type of schematic is, I'm used to, you see how it is up here? You know that the wire that's coming out of the center top of this transformer, for instance, is going over this. Now, I'm used to seeing schematics in the old days with a little jumper going over that. In other words, that's not a tie point. Now, anybody that's worked on electronics would know very well that the center top of this is not tied to that. It just crosses over. But it's very misleading to read a schematic. I'm used to seeing this jump over. See that? Or when there's a connection, it's a dot to show you that's a connection. So it gets a little confusing when it's in here. See how it connects in here? I assume these are all tied together. Fine. And this continues down and continues right over here. Now, if you didn't know that that was positive, you'd swear that it was connected to that point too, and it would short the filters out. Well, of course, that's not the case. All right, then it continues down here. I'm used to them little jump overs, and I don't like the way a lot of schematics are drawn that way. It goes out this way and goes right to the positive output. Okay, on RM2, it goes down and goes down here and goes to these filter capacitors, and then goes up and goes over here, up, and to the positive. So, in a sense, this positive and this positive are all together. So theoretically, you can take a jumper and go across here, and you're doing the same thing. Because there's two diodes in each one, and they'll both face the same direction, and the positives are common. So this is not a bridge rectifier, as I thought it was myself. So again, thank you. Several of you gave me the links to the schematic. It's apparently the only one. There is no service manual on it, but this is very helpful. I made 2 copies of this because, you know, these get messy sometimes when you're tracing them out, and sometimes you draw on them. But this will be helpful on this power supply, maybe, if I can get at things. If I can get at things, most of the time I can fix it. It's when I can't get at something, then I just don't even bother. And this looks to me like something that I'm just not going to be able to get into, especially if it's any of these, or all of these transistors here. If it's this, I know I can get this board out, but I have no way of knowing where the feed is for this. In other words, the high current and 13.8 volts is coming out of here. But where is it going in here? All right. So, unfortunately, I love that Sony HDR SR12, but I hate the MTS formats. I hate them. My son has Sony, a different model camera. I think it's a 240 or something like that. He uses Sony in it, but Sony is alright if you're just throwing 1 or 2 files in it. You start adding too many and it screws up. It don't go to the end. It goes to the beginning. And the video keeps going into the text. Not all the time, but sometimes it goes up into the text line, and you got to take and drag it down. And you shouldn't have to do that. I don't have that problem with Windows Movie Maker. It's got a simple timeline, and that's the way I like it. So in closing on this video, if anybody out there has a link and a reliable, safe program without putting all kinds of spyware on the computer or viruses or anything, a simple, I mean simple, video converter. All I'm concerned with is MTS format. I don't care about any other conversion format. MTS is an SOB to work with. It's the worst thing I've ever come across. If anybody's got a simple program, and even if it reduces quality, I'm not going to worry about it. You know, if it does, it does. But please don't tell me about Handbrake. I know so many people I've asked before about this, and they give me Handbrake, and not going to use it. I've tried it. It's no damn good. It's too complicated to use. I want something simple. I want something I can put the file into the program and convert it to MP4. That's what I want to do. MTS to MP4. Alright, so that's it on this. If I can't fix this, I'll put it aside. I won't give up on it. I'll just put it aside. And I guess I could have my buddy Mike work on it. But he's got very, very bad knees. And he's not capable of lifting 40 pounds and still support himself with bad knees. He really needs a knee replacement. You know. And I'm starting to see him in the pizza house on Saturdays. So, worst case scenario, I guess I could do that. I know he could figure it out. Alright. Thanks for watching. And please keep me in mind on some kind of I need a very, very, very simple program. Converting only. I don't need an editing program. I need just a video converter. Thanks again. Have a good day.